Agent M here, also known as Pastor Mallory, the children's pastor at Northgate Wesleyan Church. And sorry, I sometimes have technical difficulties, so where go. It's time to do our debrief on Joseph. Pretty excited. So we just got done talking about Abraham, and now we're going to talk about Joseph. I'm really super excited because it's amazing what God does. So let's jump right in. Now, I want to start off with our younger kids, and here is my challenge to you this time. Now, I do want you to draw a picture, and it's off of Genesis verse 3, where it talks about, let me grab my Bible real quick. Okay guys, it's in Genesis 37 verse 3, should definitely give you the chapter. And it says this: Now Israel, which his name used to be Jacob, Israel, God renamed him Israel, loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made a richly ornamented robe for him. So I drew a picture, and you may take on this challenge as well, youngers, of drawing a picture of what you think Joseph's robe might have looked like. This is my interpretation. For some reason, I just wanted to put stars kind of like they were sparkles, because I don't know how to put ornaments on there. So, as you can tell, I'm not a fantastic drawer, but this is what I came up with, and I think it's cool. So this is my interpretation. I just made it multiple colors. We don't really know. Some interpretations might say it was multicolored fabric or robe that he was wearing, but it doesn't actually identify. So I want you to draw what you think would be a really awesome ornamental robe that he might have gotten. Let's move into our truth that we found. I had excellent agent truth finding, and I'm just so proud of you guys. I cannot tell you how amazed and how much I learned just for what you find in God's Word. And so we have our new profile. As you guys, I totally understand that this is not very visible on the video, but I don't want to make it like several pages long, so this is my information for Joseph. So of course, if you want to receive this at home, please just email me in the email right here, and I will make sure that you get copies of the profiles that we have created, because there's no way I'm going to cover all of this. Now, once again, like I said, we're going to start narrowing it down to 3 points that we want to cover. First one, let's start off at the beginning. We come to find out when we read through Genesis that Joseph was very much disliked by his brothers, and it kind of sets us up for why, because he's not very tactful. He's not very good at talking humbly to his brothers. In fact, he kind of goes to them whenever he has a dream about them bowing down before him, and he's already the favored son by their father, which isn't normal. Normally it's the firstborn who is given everything and is seen as the most important, but he is one of the younger brothers. There's only one after him, which is Benjamin. So he's a younger brother, and he's receiving a robe and all this stuff, and so they do not like him because they think he's a spoiled young man, and he doesn't deserve it. So what do they end up doing? They're so angry at him and so frustrated and so jealous of what he's receiving that they don't think he deserves, that they first kind of beat him up and put him in this cistern, like a big hole in the ground, and they're like, oh, we'll just leave him there. Well, then they see this caravan of people going by, and they're like, no, this is a better plan. We're going to sell him. So they sell him as a slave. Okay? So that was our first point. Our second point is God blesses him even though he's sold by his brothers into slavery. The first person that he is sold into slavery to sees something special in Joseph, because Joseph is still trying to live the way the Lord wishes him to, and so God is blessing what he does. So he's seen as a valuable person, and so the first person who buys him, Potiphar, who is a captain of the guard, he receives special attention. Like, he's noticed for being a respectful person, an intelligent man, someone that Potiphar believes he can trust. So he actually puts him in charge over his household. So that's pretty amazing for a slave to rise from the bottom up to a position of authority over others. Potiphar's wife, though, starts having thoughts about him because he's really handsome, and she's not looking at her husband, she's looking at Joseph, and that gets him in trouble. He has to run away from her because she tries to grab onto him, and so he runs away and leaves his cloak in her hands. And then she makes up a lie about what he did, and so he gets thrown into prison. Well, God still blesses him, because when he's in prison, which is not a pleasant place to be, God allows him to interpret the dreams of two men who were in there. Both of their dreams were about something that the king was going to do to them. And one of them was not good. The other one, he was going to be forgiven. And so he tells the one who was going to be forgiven, please remember me and put in a good word for my name. Well, the guy forgets. He forgets. But as time goes on, the Pharaoh then has a dream, and no one can interpret it. So Joseph is brought out. He interprets the dream without even being told what the dream was. He tells him what his dream is about. And he tells him it's going to be about a famine that is coming and needing to do things that are right. So Pharaoh then decides that, man, this person, Joseph, is clearly blessed by his God. And so he then puts him in authority over his whole kingdom. In fact, he makes him pretty much second only to the Pharaoh. There is nobody above Joseph. He's in charge of everything. And he starts to prepare for this famine, which means there's going to be no food coming up. So he's storing up food in the years before the famine occurs. So that's the second point. God has really been there for Joseph and blessed him. Third point, though, the third point, which I think is the coolest part of this whole story, is that when the time comes when the famine occurs, here comes his brothers, because they're living in a land where there is no food. And so they have to travel to Egypt to ask, because they hear that there's food over there. When they arrive, Joseph immediately recognizes them. He knows his brothers. They do not recognize him. And it's probably because now he's in his 30s, so he's an older man, and he's taken up the garb and facial traditions of Egypt. So he probably looks like an Egyptian man. So they get there, he kind of plays some games with them. Finally, Joseph reveals himself, and he's weeping and he's crying, and he tells them, I forgive you. I'm like, he's just like kind of messing with them, but kind of also trying to figure out who they are, what kind of people they are, if they've changed, or are they the same men who threw him in a cistern and sold him? Have their hearts changed? Have they become better men, or are they still wicked? And he comes to find, I feel like he was testing him, and he comes to find that they are different. They have grown. They have more of a conscience about what they're doing, and they didn't want their youngest brother to be harmed, even though Benjamin probably became the new favored son who was protected like above all else. Eventually, Joseph has all of his family move to Egypt, and he takes care of them through the famine, and the Israelite nation begins to grow in Egypt. And when he turns 110 years old, Joseph passes away. And now we're going to start moving on to Exodus, into our new character, which is Moses. We're splitting Moses up into two times, because there's no way I can debrief his whole life in one session, even with 3 points. So there you guys go. That is what we have learned about Joseph, and there is something so powerful in this story of Joseph, because throughout he gives God all the glory. He trusted God with his whole life. He saw what God did, and it was so amazing to him that he could not regret the power of God in his life. And it should challenge us. Will you trust God with all of your life? Okay, there's our debrief. I hope you guys enjoyed your time looking into Joseph. It was one of those exciting stories, and Moses is another one. Make sure you stay till the end so you can see the verses for Moses that I would like you to look at. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye, guys.